one big thing that I would tell business owners out there when starting long form is give the audience a reason on why they're there.
If you're a business owner, you can't get bamboozled by just looking at creators that are playing a completely different game,
Totally.
right? The media game, the entertainment game, trying to be like them, trying to copy what they're doing, because most of them, if you were to get a peek behind their stats, behind how much money they actually make, you will realize that most of them make almost no money. They're really broke.
When you're going for a ton of views, it's just a different game, because a lot of business owners, you don't need a lot of views, you just need hyper-targeted views.
What is the correct way of pitching your high-ticket offer on long-form content?
Yeah, so how I always say it is,
most business owners are leaving money on the table right now because they're either not using long-form content to generate more sales, or they're working really hard trying to grow on the platform, but they don't understand how to really maximize that traffic to generate back-end sales for their business. Today, we have a YouTube expert that has been able to build channels from even 100,000 subscribers all the way to over 4 million subscribers, and more importantly, generate over $15 million in back-end sales. And he's here today to help you understand how to best use long-form content to grow your business. And his name is Gabe Saga. Please welcome to Founders Playbook.
Thank you, Nelson. How are you?
I'm excellent, dude. Let's just jump into it. What is the main reason as to why business owners are not able to generate sales of YouTube?
Yeah, so I think most business owners, they don't approach YouTube in a way that is beneficial to understanding the psychology of what their customer is looking for in the buying process. So most people, of course, we get bombarded with a whole bunch of short form content. However, my old mentor used to tell me it's a rule of 1,000. For every $1,000 that you want someone to spend with you, they have to at least consume 1 hour of content. So that being said, a lot of businesses don't approach it from a standpoint of, if you have a good foundation of long form content, the people who really are looking for business, they don't necessarily have anywhere to go unless you're putting that in front of them. So when you have that foundation, they just go out and search. So you then will be able to control the narrative and the propaganda that essentially they see all the time. But most businesses, they're either scared to start on YouTube, they don't know where to start with YouTube. So we'll cover more of that as well.
Now, to make it super clear for a business owner that, let's say they already are making content, but they're focusing mainly on short form content, right? Why should they do long form content?
So I think about short form content as an amplifier. So if you start going, let's say, viral with some short form content, you're not necessarily pitching in every piece of content. Like, what are you gonna scale up DMs? Like, it doesn't make sense. People want to see more of you versus, a 1 minute clip. Like, how many times have you made a purchase decision and you've only seen a 1 minute clip and you're ready to go buy, a high ticket program for $15,000? It's like, chances are that's not what's happening. You're Googling, you're potentially looking at long form videos and engaging and interacting and seeing how is this creator / business owner looking in terms of how do I want to learn from them? And you're verifying because you have to build the trust. So that doesn't happen so much with short form content. So when you have the foundation of long form, that short form content, when you go viral, you get lots of views, they go back to your channel and then they could get more indoctrinated with the long form content.
Yeah, the way we explain it as well is that the short form content is almost like having more touch points and staying top of mind. That's how we use it, not necessarily to sell, because as you said, like, it takes so much more short form content to build that credibility and trust for someone to actually pay you money, right? And the long form content is that easy way to get them to consume way more of you. And hopefully, if you're using it correctly, it correlates perfectly to directing traffic towards your back-end sales.
And a very helpful tip that I always, I'll give the nuggets really early, is when you make long form content, you start to see the retention of your long form content. What you do is you look at that retention, you look at spikes and dips to inform your short form decision. When you know that this segment works really well on organic, that also is a learning moment for all of your marketing. That goes into emails, that goes into ads, that goes into short form, because it's already proven to work and people are consuming it.
And the opposite as well, we have found works extremely well, which is if you get a short form piece of content that goes viral, generates, a lot of visibility, chances are that concept is gonna work really well if you just expand on it on YouTube. So it's kind of like you can use both to inform one another what would perform great, and obviously that also leans into ads too, right? Like making the
100%.
right concept for ads, which I'd love to chat a little bit more about. But I'm curious to hear. You go ahead.
Yeah, for the short form too, you also use it as a testing ground. So because you're not doing long form 3 times a day on YouTube, you're using it as a testing ground. A lot of videos successes that you can do is test a lot on the short form, and then you just compile some of those best lessons. So if you have a content calendar and you're doing the same theme per week, you take all of those high notes, and that also informs a long form video decision.
When a business owner, an offer owner comes to you and says like, hey Gabe, I'm either jumping into YouTube or I'm looking to fix my current channel because it's not working, it's not generating leads and customers from it. What's the first thing that you do with them?
First thing I always ask them is, what do you really want the channel to be about? I get very clear on that, since sometimes some business owners will tell you they want it to make money, but actually then you get on calls with them and they say, oh, but my subscribers are not growing. I was like, well, what did you want this for? Did you want it to become Mr. Beast and have a whole bunch of subscribers, or did you want this to actually make money? That's the first conversation I have with them. Second, we either get into brand if I notice that it's not very strong on them, because I need them to be memorable, because that's what sticks with the customers who watch. They remember like the first adjective or noun that comes to mind as soon as you say, let's say commercial financing. There's one person, or social media, one person will come to your head. And I want them to be that person. When that keyword in prospect's head shows up, it's like, oh, it's immediately linked with them. The third thing I would say is they usually have to niche down. They're usually very broad, and they believe that, once again, they may get stuck in the vanity of 700 views, which FYI, I had a channel, it was doing about 722 views, 1K views. There were videos as low as 303 views, and that channel was doing 70K a month. And that was 47 days ago, it was only making 10K. So it's really knowing your niche and focusing on that and really speaking to that prospect.
So many people have such resistance with the niching down, and it becomes a real problem to try to even grow and monetize, right? Just because you're competing with people that are doing it 10 times better. And like the fastest path to you actually start generating sales from it is just pick the niche, right? And hopefully, if you're doing it correctly too, is exactly what leads to your high ticket offer, right? So it acts as a perfect congruent bridge all the way to it.
Another thing that I also say is that in the video itself, and there's little tactics like the description, things like that, I see a lot of business owners scared to pitch as well. And that is a really big deal, since at the end of the day, you're there to make money on YouTube. Once again, you have to be in the business. Do you want to be a YouTube star, or do you want to be a business and make money? So there's a trade-off that you end up doing by taking people off platform. What I always suggest for the CTAs in a video is they're more soft, / they're congruent with fixing the pain points that you're talking about in the video. So that's another big thing. Like, they either do really ridiculous stuff, as I'm sure you've seen as well, where they'll add like a 2-minute bumper at the end of the video doing a whole pitch. It's like, what are you doing? Like, your retention is gone at that point. Like, videos should end very quickly and lead to another video. That's another, I'll give another tip really quick, is that ending video that you point somebody else to, I would either have it as a really high converting VSL. So that's, VSL, video sales letter, for the people who don't know. If you're already running a funnel that you have a proven VSL, I would adjust it slightly for YouTube and then have that video either unlisted, because I've seen some people don't want it public, like their competitors and stuff, things like that, or it's another video that's really high in indoctrination. If you're tracking every single video on your channel and where leads are coming from to either book calls, direct checkout, whatever, that's the video that you want to mostly point to in all your videos. So at the end, you always set up that video for people to watch next. And I'm talking 5 to 10 seconds max is, hey, this is your pain point, I solve it in this video, boom, your video is done. There's no long drawn out end part of the video.
You mentioned as well that one of the things that you look into a client, right? to help them succeed on YouTube is you're looking for what makes them memorable.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What exactly
Yeah,
makes
that's great.
someone memorable with long form content?
So I tackle it from a really big brand perspective. How I always say is, if a comedian wanted to make fun of you, how would they make fun of you? If there aren't really big attributes that come to mind for this, then you're just lost in a sea of other people. If you're very memorable, people will make that association more and more. When I was working with my previous mentor, like, people would just say, oh, you're the guy with the red shiny suit. That's all you needed, right? Or you're like, oh, you're that guy that talks about like big sales. That's what they say instead of high ticket, because that's all they would know. But that, or hey, you're that angry guy in the Bentley. It's like, that is brand. Same thing with another mentor of ours, a mutual mentor. It's like, he's only known for making $1 million a month. That's it. Like, that's all he talks about. So people associate those things 100%. So the comedian bit, that can happen in a lot of different ways. I tell people, you have what you say. So it's like, one big thing that I would tell business owners out there when starting long form is give the audience a reason on why they're there. Like, tell them this channel is for blah, 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 blah. Like, if you're a restaurant owner looking to scale and you're stuck and you don't know what to do and you have no idea where your money's going, like, this is the channel for you. You wouldn't say it exactly like that, but they know, okay, I know why I'm here for this channel. And a lot of the times, I would say too, you're saying the same thing a lot. And if you were to look up your analytics and be a little bit of a nerd, you would see that a lot of your audience are actually brand new. So you saying the same thing over and over, yeah, it seems repetitive to you, but to an audience, a person viewing you for the first time, they don't know. But a lot of people get stuck in the rut of, well, I already said it in one video. It's like, congratulations, you know all your videos, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the world knows all your video, especially your ideal prospect. Other things for brand, what you say, I would say it could be like pattern interrupts. So it could be like what you wear. It could be like background elements, things like that, that really stick out. Usually you would want to be more in line with what your ideal prospect kind of expects from you and then twist it. So if you're in a very professional setting, you wouldn't be wearing like a tank top and being like on a construction site, right? Like, it wouldn't make sense. But at that point, you would either like change something in your studio, change something you wear. Phrases that you use are really popular. Like, what you want to do is you want to indoctrinate them to have like common vocabulary. When we share common vocabulary, that's a very big culture thing, that it's like, oh, you're like me and I'm like you. That builds a lot of trust right away. That's the rapport building. So if it's, I'm sure if, anyone watching this yourself, if you have inside jokes with your friends, if someone comes in and they start using the inside joke, you're like, oh, you're one of us. Because it's like you can kind of get us. Really, what they're doing is rapport building. So when you have like common phrases that you use with your community, you have, different things that separate you out from other people in your niche. I would say those are the really big key things. And then of course also like letting them know why they're there.
You mentioned that another big mistake is that they don't want to sell on the content, right?
Yeah.
Business owners are like, yeah, I want to make sales from YouTube, but I don't want to sell. I don't want to be salesy, right? Which is a common scenario that we encounter sometimes with people, right? They want to make the clients, but they have the resistance to actually sell or pitch, right? And you mentioned already that one bad way of doing it is leaving the call to action at the very end of the video, where already your retention went to the bin, so likely nobody's gonna take action, right? What is the correct way of pitching your high ticket offer on long form content?
Yeah, so how I always say it is, if you're able to create a brand where it's always, the audience always gives you permission to pitch. That's the first thing. And let me elaborate a little bit on that because it's a little esoteric. When you're building content and you make it a no-brainer that you're the solution, people are less resistant to you pitching. It's different if I'm saying, here's 5 tips, and then at the end I'm saying, oh, well, also like buy my thing or book a call or something like that. It doesn't really make sense. And it comes across like not integrated. The thing I always think about is like, how do I integrate this? Same thing with, I always cringe when I see, oh, like, comment, subscribe, it really helps me out. It's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about helping you because you also probably haven't helped them. And since people do it in the beginning of the video, it's like, you haven't even provided value. So my key rule is like integration. How do you integrate booking a call so that it makes sense for them? I'll give you, we're working with a credit funding company. How we did their integrations is, number one key thing is that you would want to look at your audience retention across, a group of videos. Let's say your audience retention is about 50%. That's like normal range, right? You most likely would want to pitch at the 25% mark because most people are dropping off. So once again, like you already said, if you're at the end, no wonder you're not making money on YouTube. If you put it right at the beginning, it's also terrible, right? So you want to find like a sweet spot of when you're scripting your video and you're constructing it, it would be that first like 25% type of mark is usually what I see, or 15%, because if you're like, I see as low as like 30% retention, especially for long form, it happens. And it's okay that you're doing it really early in the video as long as you're providing value. When you're doing the integration back to the credit funding company, what we would do is we would say, like, we would give them all the advice, and we were saying, like, realistically, guys, I can't go over hundreds of scenarios, or this is going to be a 17-hour video. If you want this already done for you, there's a link in the description, check it out, and then boom, you move right on. You don't need to spend a lot of time. It's like you have permission, and actually this is a good point. A lot of people believe that they have to be a certain way on YouTube. And really, you just have to be in line with what you are. Like, I was talking to someone just yesterday, he was like, I'm a very direct transactional guy. And I said, well, why don't you just use that to your advantage? Like, don't hide, don't become a quote unquote like charismatic leader that has to persuade and persuasion. And it's like, forget all that. Just imagine a world where you are known on YouTube in your niche as the transactional guy. Like, people they're like, yeah, I know what I get. Like, if I'm booking a call, I know exactly what's gonna happen. I said, use that to your advantage. You say like, hey, if you book a call, it's only 15 minutes. We either get this done or not, that's it. And I was like, if you can introduce a metaphor too, that usually helps when you're pitching too.
We call it seamless ads,
Nice.
Which is essentially you want to, as you said, integrate the particular call to action that you're trying to use on that video, whether it's for a lead magnet, a webinar registration, a book a call funnel, or low ticket funnel. You just want to make sure that it is done seamlessly from whatever you're gonna insert it, which, as you said, you want to make sure you understand the retention behind your videos to know what's the best place to place it in, right? And one thing that we have noticed too is that usually you will want to have potentially at least a couple times a seamless ad, one earlier in the video, especially after you have dropped just enough value that it makes sense to then make an ask, and then just continue to deliver more value, and then another right hook, as Mr. Gary Vee will call it. Yes, exactly. So crucial, if you want to make sales, you must do seamless ads within your content. It must be perfectly integrated within the topic, and it won't feel wrong as well when you do it in that way. You won't feel salesy, and it will start producing results, right? What are other little tactics though? Because that's how you do it on the video, right? But what are some underrated tactics that will still contribute to helping you move the traffic off YouTube to your funnel?
So one big thing is there's like this little feature, it's called info cards. Not a lot of people use it because it's kind of hidden. It was like a really old tactic, but what happens is when people are watching a video, on the top right, there's like an info card. It's like a little eye, like a circle with an eye inside of it. When you click on it, it lets you click on the link. So like right now, at least at the time of this recording, YouTube changed the mobile experience to actually hide the description. Like you have to actually like go into somewhere else to find the description. It's really annoying. But so some people might not even know how to go find the description because they're just using AI to like highlight more stuff, because AI, which is another thing, is people could just ask video stuff now. So that we could potentially talk about that. With the info card, when you're watching the video, it pops up on the top right, and like you can say a little blurb. I think it's like 28 characters. You could say something. So if it's something like, if you want help with this, click here. So then people click on it and they tap on it, and then that's another way that gets around the description. What you do is like you line those up with the CTAs, like the integrated CTAs that you're doing, and then you could put them anywhere. Sometimes you don't even need to be doing a CTA when you put an info card in. You could put 5 of them into a video at one time. So like we used to put them like 3 in the first 25% of the video, and then like 2, more towards the end of the retention. So you have those little tricks The other thing that I would say is pin comment. That's an easy win. Like, hey, if you found this video useful and you do want help, like insert pain point that you talked about in the video, like your CTA, like book a call, check this out, things like that. If let's say you're pitching a lead magnet, I would always say like get the free thing below. Like people assume that it may be paid, so I just like to emphasize free. I think it was in Think and Grow Rich, like that's one of the best words that you could use is like free. So that's a really big one. We used to, if you're like a very big brand and you're a very big, like you have a big business, it's like you get a lot because I don't know where you may be on the stage. Let's say you have a lot of engagement in your videos. What we used to do is we hired kind of like a commission-based salesperson, and they would post a link to the funnel, but they had like a duplicate just for them. We called them reputation managers, and they would comment to people to book a call on the YouTube comments. YouTube cracked down on that a little bit because, you know, people use crypto scams and everything to scam people, but they did better to show the actual creator's name with like a check mark and everything, so you know it actually comes from them. But that's a big one as well, is doing that. I would say another hidden tactic that isn't known too much is there's two things. One of them doesn't answer your question, but I do want to highlight because it is a good like CTA type of thing, is one, if you're actually tracking your analytics on funnels, and a lot of people have the tools, but they don't look at the tools, I would rather say, let's be very honest about this. If on our thank you page, confirmation pages, if you're really not checking analytics, and like be very honest with yourself, instead just replace it for an unlisted YouTube, because what happens is that YouTube knows who watched it. So when that person goes back to YouTube, the chances of them seeing your videos are higher, because YouTube's like a free retargeting and remarketing platform 24/7. Like you don't pay for it, right? It's just always happening. So that one's a great one. The other tactic, it's not so much CTA, but I don't want to forget it, so I'll mention it as like a quick thing, is if you have a large community, this is the number one thing. What you want to do is create a culture where your YouTube channel is indoctrination for your students. So like let's say you had a community with over 2,000 students. In the first module, let's say, of the course, you want to say, like, if you want to succeed, you have to watch 10 of my videos a day. Like you dress it up, use more persuasion than that. I'm giving it really crude. Reason being is that if YouTube sees a repeated user come back and watch 10 videos a day, imagine that, you know, not everyone's going to do it. We're just doing rough math. But let's say if you had 2,000 people. If 500 people do that every single day times 10, that is a lot of watch. YouTube's like, whoa, this YouTube channel is on crack. Like the people who come back, so what does it do? Because it wants to promote more and get lots of session time. It's like, wow, people come back to this every single day and then they watch it over and over and over. So I'm like, this is great. That's actually like one of the hidden secrets, which is we had so many students enrolling. We had about like 2,000 students a month enrolling. And some of the first, like when we did week one in the live class, we would say like, in order to succeed, you would have to watch 10 videos a day. So you have like thousands of students, and that compounds more and more. So for the people who have large communities, they could benefit from that because they just have like compounding on their side.
Who would have thought that actually telling people to go and consume it does work?
Correct.
Yeah. And that tactic that you mentioned of using your actual YouTube videos on the funnels, that's something that we have seen as well that works tremendously well for a business owner, because chances are if they start watching some of those videos, not only it helps if you have selected the right videos to be in a place like the confirmation page of your funnel, right, which is supposed to be that previous step towards them actually meeting with your sales team or the person that is going to be obviously taking charge of the conversion side. But what that means is if they click on those videos, then chances are they're going to be served more videos when they go into YouTube. It's incredible, as you say, the retargeting power that you get on a platform like YouTube. So I guess that it leads to a next question, which is a normal concern that business owners have is, how do I make sure when I start making long form content on YouTube, I actually get my videos in front of my dream customers?
So I would say YouTube is a very smart algorithm, and they know who to serve videos to, because their whole business is to find the right video for the right viewer. the more broad you are, the harder it is. Earlier, we had spoken about really niching down, and I drill into people like how specific you want to be. And the reason, I'll give a quick story, is I was doing consulting with a horse dentist. I've never heard of the business, but he was a horse dentist that taught other dentists how to treat horses. I thought they just go to the veterinarian or something. I didn't know that it was a specific skill. And he was like, oh, I want views like Mr. Beast. And I was like, okay, this is really interesting, but okay, sure. Like I accepted the challenge in a way. And we did like 2 videos. One I think was like a baby horse. You know, people fall in love with that. That one got like 600K views. Then it was another like dental horse tooth extraction. It's like the brain rot kind of thumbnail, right? It's like just a screenshot from the video, but it looks super crazy. Yeah. That one got like 400K views, no sales. Not one. Now, he didn't get one book call at all from that. Then I told him, look, if we're going to continue this engagement, like, we're not going to work together very long because you're not going to make money from this. So instead, we did this super technical breakdown. I can't even repeat it because it was so technical, and I'm not a horse dentist. And it had like these crazy keywords and everything. And that video made him like, I think it was like 80K. And he was like, yeah, now we're getting calls. And I'm like, oh, I wonder why, right? It's like, because that was hyper specific to who you actually can help. It wasn't that a normal person watching, you know, a horse get tooth relief is gonna buy how to become a horse dentist. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So the belief that matters to me when going into it from a business side is when you understand your prospect, and I think we were talking about this recently, is I look at the media team or production team, video team, I kind of treat them like a sales team. So it's like I will review sales calls to understand the prospect very heavily, because what I want to do is really understand where they're coming from. That is the basis of my ideation. Like, what's actually happening when customers come in? What are their questions? Because you solve all of that with long form. Then when you start solving all of this with long form, by the way, sales are a layup deal. They're very easy because you already solved all the objections that they had to get on a call for. So they come in and they're like, yeah, I don't really know where to buy. Like, imagine getting on a call and that's the feedback. Like, oh, I just don't know where to buy. Like, how do I buy? It's like, oh, this is great. You know, that's the power of long form YouTube as well. So when you're thinking about your niche, really think about who is the customer that I'm serving. And one really big thing is that most people, I think, in like marketing have many ICPs, like ideal customer profile. Pick one. Don't go super crazy because your channel can be fragmented, and YouTube doesn't act like a TV channel in a sense. It doesn't know that, oh, this is this station and this is this station, so I only serve this video to these people and then this video to these people, because it's grouping your channel along with other channels to give viewers the best experience. So now, even more importantly, I saw a feature that they're rolling out where YouTube search will also start to evolve, where you just type in a prompt and then it readjusts your whole feed based on the prompt that you did with AI. So it becomes even more relevant to become even more niche, and really that goes into video topics, like what you're saying in your video has to be more specific so that the AI can index it properly to put it in front of your ideal customer. The
platforms are extremely intelligent right now. Yeah. And the whole game that they are trying to do is to retain people, yes, right? Consuming more content to stay longer on the platform so they can sell more advertising and all these things that make them more money, right? So your job as the business owner is really to nail down, as Gabe is saying, the person that you're trying to speak to. Yep. And as long as you do that, which everything comes back to messaging and positioning, right? Yep. As long as you do those things, the content is going to be served to the right person. Correct. Because that's exactly what the platform is trying to do, so that they actively can engage people longer and retain people longer in the platform. So your job is just make content that is very directed towards your dream customers. And by the way, what Gabe just described, if your media team is currently not doing that, which is actively engaging into conversations with the sales team and understanding, hey, what are the objections? What's stopping people? What are the concerns? Mm-hmm. Is there anything that we're not communicating about our mechanism, about our offer, about the way we help them generate the results that they're coming to us for, that YouTube videos and long form content can help you articulate so that by the time they jump on that sales call, they're more than sold. They're ready to buy. They come with credit card on hand, and your sales team don't have to be great. They can simply collect a deal and answer questions that might be more specific to that person. I guess another question following up to that, to really drive the point and communicate the difference to business owners watching this, is what's the difference between trying to really go for views versus going for making a ton of sales out of using long form content?
Yeah. So when you're going for a ton of views, it's just a different game. That's why I start the basis of my questioning for the business owners, like, what do you really want out of the channel? Because a lot of business owners, you don't need a lot of views. You just need hyper-targeted views. So the more niche your content is, the more messaging is dialed in, you'll see an outsized return, because instead of being broad, you're also competing with way bigger creators when you're going super broad. Like, if you personally were looking for something, would you want the broad generic version, or would you want the hyper-specific version? So chances are you'd want the hyper-specific version, especially for business owners. That's, if you're talking to your ideal prospect, that's mostly what they're looking for. That's where you have to build the trust. You don't build the trust broadly, and then it's like, oh, well, whoever follows through, follows through. You build it hyper-specific to their problems. That's why with reviewing, like the media team reviewing sales calls, like, to me, that is one of the highest levers that they can do for the reasons that you already stated. When they are, like, to me, if they don't even, I remember, like, I had to fire someone. This has happened multiple times, to be fair, so I don't want to sound like an angel. I've fired multiple people because they're not willing to review sales calls. And I asked them, where did you get your ideation? And they're like, oh, this outlier, which an outlier, for those who don't know, is like something that has worked for a potentially a different creator, way above normal than their average views and things like that. And I'm like, but what works for them is that we're not their business. Cool for them. And yeah, there's some sort of inspiration that we can take, but really, what are people showing up to our business saying? That's what you have to solve for. They are making content, you don't know what type of content cycle they're in. That content might be something totally different. So when we get distracted by views instead of being in the YouTube business to make money, that is how you start to get into vanity games. And the views don't necessarily mean that those output sales. It's just views. Like, that doesn't mean that your content did any better or less. I solely view it on just back-end sales. Now, there are ways to start to do hybrid, where I always say, like, you have your core audience, which is like your 1,100 true fans. When you start to bridge out, you just want to go one niche up. So, like, let's say we were talking about, let's say, credit funding. One step above credit funding might be like, well, what do you kind of do with the money once you get credit funding? So that might be investing. Investing is like a bigger TAM, like total addressable market, but you're still talking about credit funding in the context of what it means when you're doing finances and what it means for you. So like that, and you're only experimenting with that a fraction of the time, probably like 20% of the time, to see if you can punch up the TAM, because there is an argument to get more views and a higher TAM, and then those people funnel down. But if that's the whole game you're playing, then you would lose, because the difference between the traditional creator and you as a business owner is the traditional creator is doing things way more different. They are more there for entertainment. So it's like, unless you're telling me as a business owner you want to be, relying on sponsorships instead of, your own business making revenue, then sure, no problem, go make views. Like, we could ideate that totally different. But if you're actually in it for your own business, for your own prospects, like, that is just a way different game. I wouldn't prefer views over that. I just look at back-end revenue.
And even leaning into that, because that's a very common question too that we get every so often, is like, oh, I could get XYZ company to sponsor, or they seem to be interested in sponsoring this new podcast that we're thinking of launching, right? And as a team that we have closed over $500,000 in high ticket sponsorship deals, plus bonus incentives on top of that comes with those deals, is not worth doing. For 99% of business owners, that's not what you want to do. Instead, what you want to do is leverage the long form content on your YouTube channel to make more sales of your own offer, of your own business, and use it as your asset. Because the minute you start promoting all the businesses into it that are paying you for, the amount of money that you can make on that likely is very limited, and the whole reason why someone will pay you to talk about them into your platform is because you have the distribution of the same customer, which means they will only pay you if they're gonna make more money out of it. So it's not worth doing. You can just focus on you, and that will lead to way more return on it, right?
Because you just take very simple difference. The reason that creators go to sponsorships is because they don't have anything to sell. That they don't have anything. Like that's how they would make their money. That and YouTube AdSense. Like that's it. They don't have a business like the people watching, right? It's like that's your advantage. Like you own the email asset when you get an email. You could retarget that person, you could cross-sell them, you could upsell them, like, and you have that quote unquote forever. So if also, thinking about if you own a business, how equitable is your business if you want to exit? Like, do you think that, let's say you start YouTube, you start to blow up on YouTube. Remember, if your channel is built on sponsorships, that isn't equitable to someone buying a business. But if you changed it and you said, hey, all of the sponsorships that I had that I gave to someone else, instead I have it on my own list, like people care a lot about lists and emails and phone numbers if you collect that too. So that is more beneficial to you long term. Like you make way more money pitching to your own list than you do accepting a sponsorship. It's just traditional creators, they don't have an offer. So they have nothing to pitch other than, hey, just like help me pay my bills with a sponsorship.
Yeah, and if you're a business owner, you can't get bamboozled by just looking at creators that are playing a completely different game, totally right? The media game, the entertainment game, trying to be like them, trying to copy what they're doing. Because most of them, if you were to get a peek behind their stats, behind how much money they actually make, you'll realize that most of them make almost no money. They're really broke, right? Because they're trying to play a completely different game. But as a business owner, even with a very low amount of views, you can make a ton of money. Yeah. And as Gabe was saying as well, we even have so many examples of this on specific industries. If you try to just go way too broad and just try to reach as many people as possible, you will realize that in most cases, it never translates to a ton of money. We have one of our clients that comes to mind, a mortgage broker, right? When he started making content, thankfully he was making content about mortgage brokers, right? But because in some cases we'll come across a business owner that will come to us. He's like, I don't understand why it's not working, and they're in the finance space and they're talking about mindset, or how much they love CrossFit and whatnot. It's like, well, no shit, why you're not making money, right? Yep. And this guy, the mortgage broker, he was just trying to appeal to everyone in that space. And although it is a niche, it's still, there's quite a lot of sub-niches within that, right? And he wasn't getting visibility, he wasn't getting customers, he wasn't really growing, he was competing with a lot of people that already have massive brands, right? And they're sucking the majority of the attention already. And then we just look at his customer base to understand, okay, who are you trying to target? And we realize his entire customer base are farmers. Guess how much content was done for farmers?
For sure, none.
Zero, right? So the first thing that we did was helping him really communicate that he's the go-to mortgage broker for farmers looking to get loans to scale their farm. So even something extremely specific within the avatar, right? That changed everything. Literally from week one, he starts getting already leads that are warmed up, that already consume content, that already see him as someone that can help them get basically a loan to solve the problems that they have to be able to grow their business and farm, right? So it's a perfect example to show that it can actually work extremely fast, but you need to get it right. You need to forget or put less attention into the amount of views that you're getting. Of course, views are a metric, right, that you want to see growing month over month. That obviously leads to more visibility and it's a way for you to really gauge, are you doing a good job at seeing an upwards trajectory, right? But views is not everything.
It's not. And also, it's when you have an ideal customer, it's not the same thing as a Mr. Beast channel. Like his ideal customer is almost the world. It's like that's different than farmers who are looking for a loan to expand their farm, right? And I always say I think about it as like you're owning video real estate in people's mind. Like some blocks have more traffic than others. That doesn't mean that business doesn't make money. It just means that it's a different block that people walk through. And you want to be that store that people are like, oh, actually, okay, I didn't know. Okay, now I own a farm. This is the store for me. Versus imagine they're walking down the block and it's just like loans. They're like, okay, I guess, right? But now if you were store by store and you were in competition now, and it was like loans for farmers versus just loans, you probably are walking into the loans for farmers store, right? So I always think about it as like you want to capitalize on the video real estate that you have on YouTube, because chances are, even though we think of YouTube as so big, it's actually quite small when you start to niche down more and more. And you're like, actually, there's nobody here. I'm like, that's why you want to start there, because that's where you'll find like the top 3% of the buyer's pyramid of people who want it, have the capacity to do it, and they'll buy it right away because they're like, I've never been marketed to this way. And then because you're doing long form, they build up a lot of indoctrination very quickly instead of a 1 minute clip for like a short, and then that's it.
What's the main role that long form content plays on a business that relies purely on paid acquisition?
Yeah. So when people are running paid, a lot of the times, if people are in their research phase, like I think a lot of us nowadays probably discount that people do research. I mean, I still do it, right? Like I still will research something, put Reddit, things like that, because I want to see like, is this legit? Like recently we bought tickets from, I'm not going to name the sites to avoid any lawsuits. We bought tickets to Vietnam and Japan, and it was very suspicious after we started to buy them. So then what did I do immediately? Like brand name, Trustpilot, brand name, Reddit, brand name, like did I get scammed? Because this is all very suspicious. So people do their due diligence now because it's much easier. The barrier of entry to YouTube is so high, most brands don't do it. So when you have long form to compete the propaganda and the narrative that they may be seeing, you have such an outsized advantage because they will sit there and watch the video. They may be doing something, they may be showering, they may be doing whatever, but they're still watching it to understand more about you. And a lot of the times, like I'm pretty sure you see all the time, like business owners, when they get leads from YouTube and they get calls, they're like, we love the YouTube leads. Like the sales team, they fucking fight over the YouTube leads because they're like, they're so warm. They're so like, it's so easy. Like I said, if you're handling the objections properly by listening to sales calls, creating long form content, it becomes a breeze. Like that content is a foundational pillar for research. So if they see an ad and they Google you, or they ask ChatGPT, which is like starting to become quite a big thing. People are asking Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT. You want to make videos that get ranked for that as well, especially if you're more niche. Like that's what's going to happen, because chances are ChatGPT and the AIs, they will aggregate a lot of top level stuff. However, if you can be more specific and say certain things that only your niche would understand / be hyper specific, the LLMs prefer that more than anything, especially if we think about it. Google owns YouTube. Gemini, when you Google something, Gemini pulls up the thing. They're going to favor YouTube the most. So I think YouTube reference, like I don't know the exact statistic. I remember like seeing the chart saying like, oh, I have to remember this, but the amount of trust score that the ChatGPT, Geminis, and Claude use for YouTube is like, it's like probably like 65+% in terms of validity, that they use that as a source for their information. So if you can be that person where if like a farmer wants to go find a loan and they ask ChatGPT or Gemini because they're going to Google it, you will be the one that comes up. Now imagine that customer journey where someone's looking for a loan for their farm to expand their farm and become an empire. They go into Google, Gemini pulls up your YouTube video, and then they watch 2 hours of content from you. That's a whole different game now. Versus imagine even short form, like they're like doom scrolling at 2 a.m. and they see a 1 minute video from you and you have to communicate all the trust and value that your business provides in 1 minute. No, it's not going to happen without the foundation of long form.
That's it. And the illusion is to think that someone in 2026 and beyond is just clicking an ad and just going all the way to showing up to a sales call and just being super enthusiastic about paying you $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 for an offer, right? No buyer does that right now. I don't do that. You don't do that. And I invest consistently. I love paying for mentors,
Yes.
for masterminds, for investing in myself.
Yep.
But anytime I do any high ticket purchase, however they get me or get in front of me, right? Whether it's an ad, whether it's an organic short form piece of content, I'm gonna do my research, and I'm looking specifically for longer consumption that I can do, right? Seeing someone making short form content, it's good and it's gonna give me some level of indication.
Of course.
But if I know they have long form content, I'm instantly going and checking that, because it will tell me straight away. In most cases, if people are doing this correctly, it will help me get informed. As you said, it's the propaganda, right?
Yes.
You're controlling the narrative of what you want your customers to know and believe, right? About you, about your product, about the problem that you solve in the marketplace, and the positioning that you want to take in their minds.
Yes.
So it really can maximize, right, every dollar that you're putting in on paid
let's
ads.
just also talk about competitors, right? Like, imagine if they are researching the topic itself. They saw your ad, they went through some of the process, maybe they even book a call, but then they start to do research, and then someone else, a competitor, has long form content. Well, you got them interested, so you paid for the ad to get them interested, and then someone else beat you because they had long form. It's like now they're probably gonna ghost you on the show, on the call, so they're gonna be a no-show, and then someone else got the business because they indoctrinated them more. I rather control the conversation that's in their head the most, and have the outside world, like all of the time that they do researching, I would rather be upfront and tell them, hey, this is where you can find our channel if you want to watch these videos. Like, this is what people usually find the most valuable, like stuff like that on your landing page, like your thank you pages on the landing pages, or even emails and everything. Or if you have the sales team reaching out, it's like, hey, do you want option A or B? Like, don't give them a yes or no, because then they can say no. It's like, give them an A or B option. Like, hey, Lee, you wouldn't say it like that, but typically, like, ICP find these two videos helpful. Which one do you want me to send you? And then it's, a 1 hour video, a podcast, things like that. And it helps a lot. Especially podcasts help a ton because you're already seen as an authority. Because, as much as we like to believe it or not, like, when people are seen as a point of authority, you automatically become the expert. Especially when you're niched down. I'm sure anyone who's listening to this, taking our advice, if they were to niche down on YouTube and if they go to any like business conferences or things like that, like, they get recognized almost immediately. Like, there's one friend I have, Omar, like, he gets recognized all the time at medical conferences, and like 200 people watch his podcast on LinkedIn, but he goes to the conferences and that's most of the deal flow that he has. And it's just, he's like a celebrity and gets invited to golf for like billionaires and everything, just because he interviews people who like never get interviewed at all in the medical field. But that's his thing, is like super hyper specific into medical field, doesn't get a lot of views, long form, and people are like, yeah, I watch your podcast every single week. So like, they meet him and they have like a parasocial relationship with him. They're like, oh, I've watched like 17 hours of your content. Like, I've been listening to your podcast for like 7 months. It's like, wow. Right. So then when they go and do a deal, they trust him. His trust is like, yeah, of course Omar's the guy. Or referrals, because that's another one too. So
completely different type of lead as well, that when those guys come into a sales call, right? Someone that has consumed 17 hours of content of you, like, they genuinely believe or feel like they truly know you.
Correct.
Right? This is this stranger coming, and he might not be talking to even the founder, right? Because the founder likely is not the one doing the sales call, but he's talking about the team, and they're bringing up, like, I know XYZ about the founder. And it's like, how do you know those things, right? It's because they've been just binge watching the content, right? So extremely underrated in that sense of what kind of impact it can make for a business that is already doing paid ads and talking to cold traffic, by helping with the entire sales process and shorten sales cycle
100%.
as a result of that consumption, that familiarity being built, that like trust factor as well that is taking place by then simply spending more time with you. The way we explain it is, you're just doing sales one to many. It's replicating yourself, using content to spend time with those people that they just found out you exist, and that they might be considering you to start a buying journey, by they just need more touch points, and they just need more time with you
Yeah.
What a better way to do it
Correct.
than long form video content.
Yeah.
Alex Hormozzi made over $100 million in just one weekend. The only reason why he was able to pull something of that magnitude is because of brand.
Yep.
And brand that was built through a lot of consumption.
Yep.
And
Tons.
mainly driven by long form content in the back end of that, and of course short form content to create that
amplify.
real
But he had the
amplification.
foundation.
Yes.
So since he had the foundation, the short form content just amplified what the long form content was.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no accident why every major industry leader right now that you can probably think of right now, the Alex Hormozzi, Dan Martels, the Cody Sanchez, all these massive names, why they're spending time and investing into actually making long form content. Yep. And it's because of that, because of the unfair advantage that you get by building brand to support your paid advertising, to generate free customers out of organic social media platforms, and obviously drive more sales, right?
Correct. And I would say, like, when, I'll borrow this from Hormozzi a little bit, right? He always asks the question of how good is your referral rate, because that tells you how good your actual product is. The chances of when somebody refers their friend to someone else is like, what are they going to point to? Their login portal? No, they're going to probably point to your YouTube video so that they can build the same trust that they had when they purchased. So what are you going to send them a short and be like, oh yeah, I paid like 7K for this, 15K for this. Here's like 3 shorts. Like, get this guy. It's like, that's not happening. They're not going to build the same level of trust. So with that referrals are super warm. So now like you're making it way easier on your business. Not only do you have like referrals, but you're also able to point them to long form to become indoctrinated, just like the person doing the referral. Even
to your point, like the mastermind that we met through, right? It is costly, right?
Yeah.
And anytime I'm referring someone because the product is so good and the mastermind itself and the legend running it is so exceptional, really, and I've gotten such great results. I'm constantly telling people about it and raving about it. I've become a raving fan of the product. Yeah. But when someone comes to me that I'm either referring it or someone is asking my opinion on it, I will tell them like how good it is. Yeah. But the next thing I do more than that is, here's his channel. Go and watch it. Like, I'm literally giving them, go and consume some of it, because then you will get it.
Correct.
Right? So, and as you said, they're not going to be sending like the portal or, hey, here's the group chat. Yeah. That's not going to communicate the value. But if you send them your long form content, or that person or you as a business owner already have that long form content, what's going to happen too, beyond the benefit of getting new eyeballs that don't know you exist right now, is existing people that already consume the content. If the content is good, is targeted, is valuable, they're going to share it with other people. Correct. Right? So that is doing that referral, almost a word of mouth expansion for you. This is a this or that segment. So you choose one or the other.
Let's do it. I love it.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Sushi or steak?
Definitely steak.
Expert or jack of all trades?
Expert.
Product or service business?
Product business.
CEO or founder?
Founder.
Done for you or done with you?
Done for you.
Done for you or do it yourself?
Oh, done for you.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
Instagram or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Instagram or X?
X.
X or YouTube?
That one's tough. YouTube.
YouTube or Spotify?
YouTube.
Short form or long form video content?
That's an easy one. Long form.
Photos or videos?
Videos.
Newsletter or podcasting?
Podcasting.
Organic or paid marketing?
Organic.
Views or followers?
Followers.
Followers or sales?
Sales.
1 million followers with low conversions or 1,000 raving fans?
Definitely 1,000 raving fans.
Remote talent versus local talent?
Remote talent.
Building A talent or hiring A talent?
Hiring A talent.
A talent at a high price tag or multiple cheap C talent?
High talent, high price.
Property investing or shares?
Property investing or shares? Property investing.
Property investing or Bitcoin?
Property investing.
Property investing or buying businesses?
Property investing.
Building a business or buying a business?
Buying a business.
Passion 6-figure business or stressful 8-figure business?
Depends on cash flow. Let's say passion.
Sales or marketing?
Marketing?
What's the hardest truth you had to accept about yourself as a YouTube expert?
Ooh, this one's good. The hardest truth that I had to accept about myself would be essentially you have to be very direct and honest with people who are filming videos, either creators, the business owners, because a lot of people, they have egos that you have to crush because they think that they are way better than they are, and they actually aren't. And they believe that they're doing their best, and I believe they are. They just need to work through the coaching of doing things better, because that's what it calls for. Now, yes, of course, you could still be yourself. There's nothing wrong with like anything, but a lot of the times, like let's say you're doing the integrated CTAs, like if they don't do it, like you have to call them out on it. One of the biggest things I had to come to accept is I cannot promise them to be famous. So like a lot of people think when you're working with someone for YouTube, it's like, well, what do you mean? Like you can't get me millions of views? What do you mean? Like essentially what you're asking me to do is to make you a celebrity. I don't think anyone in the world that I know of, at least, can sit there and look you dead in the eyes and promise you like, I will make you a celebrity. Like I already know how we will do it. It's like, yeah, everyone is just, my old mentor used to say, if you're getting marketing right 50% of the time, you're the greatest marketer that ever lived. And I really took that to heart because a lot of people come to me looking to save their business with YouTube, or they have an unrealistic expectations of what YouTube will become for them. So hardest thing that I had to come to realize is that I cannot make everybody a celebrity. And at first I beat myself up a lot because of it. And then I realized like, okay, how do I decodify it? That's how I get into like brand thoughts. Like, are you having brand? Like, are you doing integration CTAs? Like, how do you come across as on camera? How do you set up your videos? How do you, like, is your business valuable to your ideal prospects, right? So a lot of that, I would say, is like the hardest thing that I had to work on, which is just like being very direct and honest about, or not even about, to the business owner about their business and what it means in the YouTube landscape.
After generating millions of views and millions of dollars off YouTube for business owners, offer owners, what's the most painful lesson you have come to realize when it comes to growing a YouTube channel for a business?
Yeah, I would say most people allow mediocrity in the media team. That is actually the number one pain point that most people have. They get it away with, oh, but I want to pay 3 cents for a thumbnail. It's like, okay, sure. Or they're not willing to invest because they don't really see a long-term vision of what it could be. When you're on YouTube, I think when we were speaking, it's like you hear when I speak, I'm like, oh, in a year or two, like we'll see if this worked, right? It's very uncomfortable to sit there. When I worked with my mentor and we grew the channel, that was a bet that he made. And keep in mind, when I grew that channel, I didn't know anything about YouTube before then. I came from broadcast television and they were like, oh, we're going to be on Netflix. That didn't happen, but that's a different story. It's just a long time horizon for things. And when you're not investing in the team, it is a bit of a like quote unquote sunk cost in the beginning, but then it starts to have outsized returns. And that's how you measure it. You measure it by, are the sales conversations getting better? Like, because just because you have it on YouTube and you have like a specific YouTube funnel, that just because the leads don't come in from YouTube specifically doesn't mean that it didn't help in other areas of the business. When you have the media team, once again, like we spoke about, they're not willing to review sales calls and understand the customer 100%. That starts to destroy the content process. And it does take a certain level of individual to want to review sales calls, understand what they're looking for in a sales call for a content decision. And anyone watching this who is a business owner, you do have to take it a bit into your hands at first to develop that skill. Because the really big thing that I realized is creatives do not get into like video editing and becoming creative to be a marketer. But that's actually what you need. You actually need a marketer who knows how to do video editing. So that's a big difference. Like I would rather hire a marketer and teach them how to video edit than hire a creative person and like attempt to teach them marketing. It's harder, but it's also harder to find those people, and you have to pay for that expertise. So biggest thing I see going wrong is that people are not willing to actually invest into the media team properly, and then they sit there and wonder like, oh, why doesn't this work? Why? It's like because you're actually not taking the action. I run the media team pretty cold, like a sales team. Like when it's work, things like that. Like I want people who are really hungry and then also align their incentive with what we want in the business. If you're creating content, I don't care about views. Like unless you're doing like clipping, I don't really care about views. I care about end conversions. So if you have conversions on your pieces of content that you've edited, like I incentivize that on the team. Same thing with like when we need fast work. Like I have them all in a Slack channel. I have like 20 editors and they cry. I call it BMW. They bitch, moan, and whine because I'll post what we need and whoever responds first gets it. That's like speed to lead in a sales team. So because I want the work done fast, right? And only the people there, that sets the standard. So to me, when you're lowering your standard for the media team, that is the biggest pain point that you're gonna get, because everything that we spoke about today, you don't wanna invest all of that time and then skip out on the team that has to execute it because they don't understand, they don't get it. Like you want someone in that seat, even if it's just one person to be the director, you want them to actually understand what's going on in the content. Like it shouldn't be you giving all the content ideas. It should be a hybrid approach. They should be coming to you and saying like, hey, I noticed on the sales calls we talk about this. Like, what else do you have, like about this that we could talk about? Like I want to do a video topic on this because I hear on the sales call, let's say money objection or whatever, right? It's like, then how do we reframe this as an investment? How do we reframe this as like, well, what's the money that you're losing by not having this? So like if the media person who's in charge of it all, like you're not listening to them and holding them accountable and the team, like that's like the biggest mistake. Like a lot of when I go into businesses to help them with YouTube, it's like, yeah, the media team is trash and we need to pretty much fire everyone and get some A players in here.
The opportunity cost of not getting the media team right is greater than the investment that is going to be getting the person that is actually going to help you produce those outside returns. Last two questions in one sentence. What's the worst YouTube advice you have ever received?
That I ever received? Worst YouTube advice? I've heard so much of running ads on the channel. Ooh, that's a hot button issue for me. We don't have time. Running ads on a YouTube channel will destroy your channel. You could still share your audience with another channel, put a whole bunch of client testimonials there, put your best videos on the second channel. On Google Ads, you could still give your main channel audience, you could lend it to the Google Ads platform. No reason to sacrifice your organic channel.
Best YouTube advice you have ever received?
Think long-term.
Mr. Gabe, thank you very much for coming into the podcast. Where can people find you and engage with you?
Yeah, they can connect with me on Instagram at Gabe Saga, very simple, and then that's it.
As per usual, all the links will be down below this video. If you enjoyed, all I ask is just share it with another founder or business owner that might find this valuable, and hopefully we'll be able to produce better results of long-form content and platforms like YouTube for their business. I will see you on the next episode.